Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. So friends, after having our discussion on understanding the impact of the Dasha of Saturn in our life and the impact of Rahu Mahadasha in our life, in this video we will try to understand the time period of Ketu, like the 7 year Dasha of Ketu, if it is placed in different houses in your astrological chart, how it is going to be influencing your life, what kind of role the Ketu's dispositor will play. All of that we will try to understand in this short, brief, and concise video. So, friends, before we will start our discussion, we will first pray to Lord Ganesha, who is the Hindu god of auspiciousness, good omens, and who presides over all the knowledge of mystic sciences known to humankind. So, Om Vakratun Mahakaya Suryakoti Samprabha Nirvignam Kuruma Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. So, friends, the very first thing, like the way I mentioned, Ketu Mahadasha is a 7 year period governed by the south node of the moon, the moksha Karaka planet, like significator of liberation. And we also call it as the Chidra Graha, the planet that cut ties. So it represents as like the headless trunk. Ketu operates without the rational mind, drawing strictly upon past life accumulated karma, sanchit karma. The only entity in our chart which can give you a peek to all the action accumulated deeds of all of your past lifetime, that is the placement of Ketu in your chart. A lot of the times young people, especially those who are very much fascinated with the superheroes and all, supernatural powers and all, when they ask me this question that Nipon, do you see any potential for any extraordinary divine kind of element in my chart, that potential? So the only reply they get from me is how strong Ketu is in your chart, because it's a Ketu only which has the power to grant you that. I always say this thing, friends. Every planet has a representation in our this human plane. I mean to say, if Sun is going to be badly placed in the chart, you might not get along with the father, with the authority. You might have issue in the attainment of the fame. When it comes down to Mars, injuries, accidents, brothers, blood related issue and all. But when we talk about Ketu, imagine the whole cosmos, nature, omens turning against you. So I mean to say, people who are the chosen one, gifted one, blessed one, are favored by Ketu. They have a strong Ketu in their chart. And those people who are like the victim of circumstances, they are also the negative side of the Ketu in Vedic astrology. So, friends, the way I mentioned, on one side, where Rahu projects desire and illusion into the material world, Ketu operates through subtraction, apathy, and piercing insight. Means Ketu is extremely detached. So, and I guess that is the only reason if someone has to become a yogi, someone has to become like a celibate. So Ketu has to be in a very strengthened state, because your all of your emotions, sympathies, and feelings is straight away connected with the divine. You don't get entangled on the human plane with relations with other people. So that is the only reason, friends, we say that during the Ketu Mahadasha, the universe systematically dismantles identity structure built on external validation to reveal the unconditioned self, the Atma. Now, friends, the key mechanics like the house placement and the dispositor role, because when it comes down to Rahu and Ketu, the dispositor plays a very, very significant role. So, to evaluate Ketu's 7 year period, two core factors dictate how its energy unfold. The very first is the house placement. It means it will mark the exact domain of the life where you experience a sense of completion from previous incarnations. Because the soul has already done this, Ketu creates detachment, disillusionment, or sudden cut-offs in this area. Now comes the role of the dispositor. So for example, if Ketu is placed in the Sagittarius, so dispositor will be planet Jupiter. If Ketu is placed in Scorpio, so dispositor is going to be planet Mars. So the dispositor, it acts as the hands and eyes for the headless Ketu. Like, see, when we talk about dispositor of Rahu, so it's like the intent of the Rahu is being governed by like Rahu's dispositor, because that goes without any saying that Rahu's extremely intelligent. But whether that intelligence will be used in your constructive development of the life or for your own destruction, so that is going to be governed by the dignity and strength of Rahu's dispositor. Same is the way Ketu is blind. So that means Ketu's dispositor in your chart act as the hands and eyes for the headless Ketu. So if the dispositor is strong and placed in Kendra or Trikona Bhava, Ketu channels its intense energy into spiritual authority, high intuition, or mastery. But let's say, for example, if the dispositor is weak or afflicted, the dasha manifests as disorientation, isolation, or material instability. Friends, I want to make this thing very clear over here that when we talk about like uh, how much will you gain in the Ketu period? So you cannot scale it, you cannot comprehend it or measure it on a material plane. Because if that is what your objective is, like wait for the Venus Dasha. Venus Dasha is the right time to project your those aspiration, or this could be a Dasha previous to it, which could be of the Mercury Dasha. When it comes down to Ketu, development and the growth happens on a different plane, which cannot be seen from the external eye. So, when we connect the classical and the scriptural foundation with it, friends, so Brihat Parashar Hora Shastra, chapter 59, Rishi Parashara states that if Ketu is placed in Kendra, Trikona, or the Labh, like 11th house, and its exaltation or own sign, like own sign, it means like Sagittarius, or this could be Jupiter. Its Dasha bestows high wisdom, spiritual favor, and freedom from material fear. Conversely, placement in the second house, 8th house, or 12th house with malefics can cause sudden separation, anxiety, and unexplainable physical ailments. Now, Jatak Parijat and Fal Deepika, it states that Ketu is described as Kujavat Ketu. It means it operates like planet Mars, giving fiery, penetrating internal heat. So Mantreshwar notes in Fal Deepika that Ketu's primary role is to grant liberation, often preceded by a period of feeling lost or alien to the mundane society. And when we talk about the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, so the way it has been mentioned over there that Dukh Mev Sarvam Vivekina, to the discerning eye, all material experiences is fraught with suffering. Ketu acts as the astrological engine of Vivek, discernment, and Vairagya, dispassion. Now, on this note, friends, we will start our discussion. But before that, let's look through the slides as well. So we have already discussed that Ketu is headless, the headless Chidra Graha. Ketu acts as a severed node, lacking sensory eyes and intellect. It operates via pure subconscious intuition, severing material attachments to trigger spiritual awakening and inner liberation. See, friends, you have to understand that whatever Ketu is doing in your life, a good Ketu will function, operate more on the subconscious, on the karmic, ancestral, Akashic plane. These things you don't see. See, that is where the difference comes. Like the way people say that when you eat healthy, nutritious food, your body is getting benefited, you don't see the symptoms or the benefit very rapidly. But when you eat unhealthy, your body deteriorate very fast, and it shows the symptom through fatigueness, exhaustion, or this could be fever or some other symptom. Same is the way when Ketu is working in a benevolent, in a positive way, it is doing its job. The whole cosmos is working in favor. You don't see that. But when Ketu is acting negative, so those are the things which we see very strong, very visibly. And the concern is that, friends, the only one planet which can completely change the course of your life. If there is one planet which can completely change the course of your life with one strike, that is Ketu. That means the way I always say that just via looking at the characteristics, symptoms, or observing the circumstances in a given period of time of a person's life, you can fairly get to know that which planet is actually causing all of that. So if someone comes to you and you get to know that within a small period of time, like within few days or a week, a person lost everything, like he went to the work, he got to know that he has been fired from the job, he had many loans, mortgage, he came back, he had a fight, someone committed suicide, then something else happened, means major tragedy, complete collapse, so complete ruin. So Ketu is capable of that. Now, with that said, I'm not saying that in whomsoever's life Ketu Dasha will come, it is going to do that. No, I'm not saying that. All what I'm saying is that no other planet is capable of doing that. It's the extreme potential power of Ketu which can do it like this. Like Mars can give you trouble with the enemies, Saturn because it's slow, good or bad, it takes time. Rahu is more on the mental plane and all, but yes, Ketu is capable of doing extreme damage in a very small period of time. That is negative. When we talk about positive, the irony is that we cannot see it, but it somehow is more powerful. Now, when we talk about the dispositor mandate, so because Ketu is headless, it borrows the hands and eyes of its sign dispositor. The dispositor's strength, placement, and dignity dictate how Ketu's karmic energy physically manifests. So it's as simple as that, friends. Let's say, for example, if Ketu is placed in the sun sign, like in the Leo, it definitely has something to say regarding your connection with the power. This could be a case that uh, like power will come to you like from a legacy, inheritance, birthright, or some other succession. It will come to you. Or in extreme side, you might have consistent problem with the authority. If Ketu is placed in the Cancer, in the moon sign, so definitely, friends, for intuition, intuitive powers, there couldn't be any better placement than this. If Ketu is placed in, let's say, for example, Mars's sign, so whether we talk about Aries or whether we talk about Scorpio, so again, if this placement is happening in like 8th house of accident, surgery, if it is happening in the 12th house of hospitals or 6th house of enemies and all, and let's say the overall chart is indicating loss of the limb, loss of like some bodily part in injury, in accident or something, so that like that potential is going to be there. Ketu, see, whenever we come across all those kind of gruesome kind of cases in the society, like a doctor who later on gotten into the body organ trafficking, or someone who became like a dreaded terrorist, so only Ketu can actually cut off your head and senses to an extent that it can make you obsessive, like completely radicalized, like those terrorists. So Ketu with the Mars combination, the flavors of the Mars, like Ketu does not have eyes, ears, and if Mars will become the hands and eyes of the Ketu, so that chart needs to be studied very carefully. But yes, for those people in the Ketu Dasha, worship of Lord Ganesha, Lord Kartikeya, Lord Narsimha, Lord Hanuman will bring very magical results. Ketu being placed in the Mercury signs, um, it could either make you genius or it could actually give you, like, people who start, there's a, who stammer a lot, like speech related impediment or not being able to get a right thought, right idea at the right time. So yes, intelligence and communication will be very mystical. Either the person could be genius or the person might have problem in taking decision or communicating at the right time. Ketu being placed in the Jupiter, one of the best placement. This tells about some sort of Guru Parampara, Guru Kripa, which native will have the capacity to use in this lifetime as well. Ketu being in the Venus sign. See again over here, like when you talk about the Lal Kitab, like I don't know what is the logic. The Lal Kitab people follow that. They say that even for the luxury and the fun and the pleasure, Ketu needs to be strengthened. Many people also say, especially the Lal Kitab people, that for having a male progeny, Ketu needs to be strengthened, because the logic which they put is because Ketu represents the ancestry, family lineage, and if you have a male child, he will carry on the family name. So so when we talk about the extract from the Lal Kitab, it somehow connects the flavors of Venus of luxury, pleasure, with the Ketu. But if you ask me, in my own research, I haven't seen like that. Like, even if Ketu is going to be placed in the Venus, it can, in extreme cases, it can actually make you detached towards wealth. See, the case is, we all have, the world have witnessed people like for example, Osho, irrespective of being on a very higher plane of spirituality, he still have had a taste for luxury. All that Rolls Royce stories, the diamonds and expensive things he had in his possession. But in his case, Ketu did not have connection with the Venus. His moon, his ascendant, and other elements have the connection with the Venus. So if you ask me, Ketu being in the Venus sign, all what I can say is that there could extreme fluctuation which can happen in the assets, in the finance, in the family life. Again, because this video is primarily focused towards what will happen in the Ketu Mahadasha period, right? So if Ketu is placed in the Venus sign, in all the element represented by the Venus, like Taurus and Libra, marriage, relationship, family, wealth, finances, your assets and all, needs to be monitored very, very carefully. Um, and again, friends, it's not about that you will do something because of your own miscalculation, something wrong will happen. That could be the domain of Rahu, where because of your greed, because of your obsession, illusion, you can end up taking wrong decision. When it comes down to Ketu, it's like the nature, it's like the fated things. So Anushthan, rituals, Graha Shanti Puja becomes very important. So, and if Ketu is placed in the Saturn signs, like Ketu being in the Capricorn, Ketu being in the Aquarius, again, friends, the thing is, Aquarius is a different energy altogether. So, if we talk about from the Aquarius's perspective, Ketu in the Aquarius is still going to be in a state to give good result. The concern is that it puts Rahu in the Leo. That could be problematic from the Rahu's end. But because this discussion is primarily from the Ketu's perspective, right? So Ketu in the Saturnian sign as well, I have seen giving good results. Ketu in the Aquarius, beyond any doubt, it can actually make you like a, even though, like, you know, those people who follow spirituality but in a very philosophical kind of way, they play guitar, they play music, shamans, and people who have their own distinctive style and very utopian humanitarian kind of mindset and all, very futuristic. So Ketu combination with Aquarian energy is a blend of futuristic alchemy, and it's a good combination. It's not something which is going to be harmful, self harmful, or harmful for the society, harmful for the family of the native. It's not like that. But yes, when Ketu is going to be placed in the Capricorn, so your profession, your status, your authority, so this could be a case that power will automatically come to you in the period of Ketu, or this could be a case that power will slip out of your hand. So nature, cosmos, Oman will play a very significant role. So yes, friends, this was about just a brief overview. So the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, friends, to the discerning mind, all worldly experiences are recognized as fraught with inherent limitation and illusion. 7 year Dasha of Ketu. Um, Ketu is spiritual. Even in numerology, Ketu is connected with number 7. So 7 chakras in human body, and also number 7, Ketu is deeply, deeply spiritual. The only thing which connects us to the cosmos, the only planet, the only dasha, the only house placement of Ketu, I mean to say, which can actually elevate you, help you transcend from the humanly plane to something extraordinary or to the higher planes. Like many scriptures have talked about that, the higher astral planes. So only Ketu is capable of giving you that. So, yes, the 7 year Ketu Mahadasha serves as a surgical cosmic intervention by severing karmic knots and dissolving false identification. It realigns the soul with its eternal source. Okay, friends, now on this note, let's try to look at briefly that based on all the house placements, what kind of result we can expect. Now, let's say, for example, if your Ketu Mahadasha comes and Ketu is, I'm so sorry, your Ketu Mahadasha comes and Ketu is going to be placed in the first house, in the Lagna, right? So now comes the question that what could be denied, because we cannot overlook this fact that Ketu somehow is responsible for cutting the ties. So this 7 year period is going to be capable of the denying your egotistical identity, egoistical identity. I mean to say, where you have created a wheel of illusion around you that I'm this, or like I need to be respected because of these things and all. So if you have any wheel of illusion around you, if you living in a cage of self-proclaimed ego and all, so that could be denied in this period of time. That shell could be broken in this period of time, like that physical vanity. Also, when we talk about this is going to be the time when native will stop looking for external validation. I mean to say, before that, you might have this mindset, like in the Mercury Mahadasha, you might have this period that I need to have this vehicle to be seen successful in the society. I need to be in this status, in this position, having this house. So when the Ketu period will come, Ketu is placed in the first house, all that external validation will not be your major concern. You'll be looking for or seeking for something much deeper. When we talk about the spiritual awakening potential, so yes, this could invoke deep self-inquiry phase, like Atma Vichar. The illusion of the personality persona will dissolve. And when we talk about the scriptural and the yogic focus, so awakening of the Sushumna Nadi is possible in this time, like not Ida Pingla. I mean to say Sushumna Nadi activation, Kundalini awakening is possible in this period of time. And like we generally recommend practicing those kind of Maharishi Raman uh, work, like who am I? So that sort of inquiry will bring rapid awakening in its phase. And beyond any doubt, friends, all that self awakening, all that self inquiry somehow will be connected with in which direction it will take you, or where you will get the maximum help. So a lot is going to be dependent on the Ketu's dispositor placement as well. So if Ketu's dispositor is going to be placed in the ninth house, this could be a case that some Guru Tulya person will help you, guide you toward the self inquiry, who you are in real. Or if it's in the seventh house, your life partner. 10th house, some career related endeavors. 11th house, this could be a friend. 12th house, this could be in any ashram and all. So all of that is possible. Now, friends, when we talk about Ketu being active, the 7 year period of Ketu being active, if Ketu is in the second house, so what is it going to be denying in this period of time? So, obviously, friends, material holdings, ancestral wealth, security, and that sort of absolute family harmony feeling, and attachment to the sweet speech, like all of that is going to be like something for which you have to work very hard, or you might struggle in this area. Like this could be a case that before in the Ketu Dasha, everything was going very good in the family life. You have had that contented state of mind with your finances, with your assets and everything. Once a Ketu Mahadasha will activate, Ketu being in the second house, that sort of like insecurity will start looming up. Like, okay, am I doing good? Have I saved enough money for my family? Have I done enough for my family and my place in the society, community? So all those thoughts will come. So this is the area and the domain where Ketu in its activated dasha in your second house will start functioning. Now, when we talk about the spiritual awakening, so this could be a time of mastery of Vak Siddhi, truthful, penetrating speech, and detachment from the sensory indulgences like the taste buds and all. Now, friends, when we talk about the scriptural and the yogic focus, so we generally recommend that if it is possible, practice the Maun, the noble silence, and the Khechari Mudra. You can search it on the Google. And we say that transition from the material food dependency to the inner nourishment, prana. So that will become very, very important when Ketu will get active in the second house. See, friends, the thing is that second house also tells about deeply inculcated values as well, right? So Ketu can actually churn out, like can give you some divine holy mission. Like, this could be a case. I've seen that people who have Ketu in the second house, and if they are fortunate and lucky enough that in their lifetime Ketu Dasha comes, so generally in that period or after that period, they start getting aligned with something much deeper, like much more fulfilling rather than that. Because if you have Ketu in the second house, once there will be a time which will come where it is either going to be completely, either it will completely nil your bank balance, completely cut you off from your family. Ketu will do its part just in order to teach you this lesson that whatever you're holding up or your possessions are, that is not something which will go with your soul. It is not something which is like, what do you call that, which is going to be permanent in nature. So this sort of like lack will drive you towards seeking higher meaning in the life. And generally, people end up, if the dispositor of Ketu is well placed, people end up finding something which generally take care of them for the rest of their life. That sort of higher, deeper meaning and purpose. Now, friends, if Ketu is going to be active in the third house, so this could be a case that now comes the question, what is going to be denied? So, dependence on the personal willpower, hyper competitiveness, and superficial sibling bonds. So, Ketu will act over here. See, the thing is, what I have seen, like I have known some of my friends, like who have had like Ketu and Mars combination in the third house, and I couldn't tell you, they were like bold, like fearless. But again, the concern is that that could be a part of their personality, because if you have like Ketu Mars in the Capricorn in the third house, Ketu Mars in the Scorpio in the third house, that in itself makes you like a bully, very competitive, fearless, confident person. But when the Ketu Dasha will come, here I'm not talking about your personality, because whatsoever you have got as the planetary placement in the chart, that defines your personality. But once the Dasha gets active, one our attention goes to specific areas of the life. So if I were to say the negative side of displacement. So if you have Ketu in the third house, when the dasha will begin, and if the native is not very spiritually oriented, so he will have that phases of mood swing or betrayal on the account of friends, extreme outburst, which actually can land the native in problem, like some extreme outburst and you gotten into road rage, you harmed someone, and now you are dealing with a court case or a lawsuit. So I mean to say these kind of things if Ketu is operating on a lower plane. But let's say, for example, if Ketu is operating on a higher plane, this is going to be the time of dissolution of the personal ego driven into divine will. So your personal ego will drive into the divine will. And we can say this thing that exceptional intuitive, like for certain people, I have seen like people take up writing, or people start taking interest in the like reading the holy books, spiritual books. So all of that is going to be possible. So all what I can say that, friends, in this period of time, like the Anhata Nad, like the sound meditation will be very helpful for you. And shifting your effort from the material conquest to the mastering, to the mastery of the mind is the right approach in utilizing this Ketu in a right way. But yes, when we talk about the material ties, third house represents our friends, our brothers, and all our daily life and all our colleagues and all. So it's just like that, more than you, even people around you will feel the impact once the Ketu Dasha will active. Because see, the thing is, Ketu Dasha reside in between two very, very social planets like Mercury and Venus. So I mean to say, before that, this could be a case that you were seen as a very social, a very like interpersonal person. But the moment your third house Ketu Dasha will come, it will suddenly cut you from your social circle, from your social network, and people will see that what happens, like now he has stopped coming to the party, now he has stopped checking on every one of us. So that kind of isolation will be felt, the social isolation. Now, friends, when we talk about Ketu being active in the fourth house, so again, friends, when we talk about fourth house Ketu, it can cut off your dependence on the fixed physical assets and domestic comfort to uncover the inner heart space. So, if I were to say what will be denied, so the conventional domestic peace, like permanent fixed property, reliance on the external emotional safety, because I always say how rooted a person is, we generally get to know from the fourth house, like how secure and safe you feel, whether in the home or your place in the society on this humanly plane. So when Ketu gets active in the fourth house, again, it makes you very uprooted. Like many people who are like less spiritually evolved, so these are the people who start changing their residences, start changing moving from one city to another city. That goes without any saying that Ketu can uproot you. But again, you have to understand that the energy of Ketu does not work on a material plane, it works more on the spiritual plane. So I mean to say, is it going to elevate your consciousness, your level of understanding, your emotional resilience? So that is the right way or right approach of calculating or assessing that the Ketu Dasha came and did it give me good result or not. But if you were to just measure it on this scale that the Ketu Dasha came and I migrated from India to US, so that is very much possible. Talking about the spiritual awakening, friends, yes, the way I mentioned, realization of the inner heart space, transcending reliance on the external home to find the external shelter within is possible. And friends, when we talk about the yogic focus, so again, it has the potential. This dasha has the potential of the activation of the Anahata chakra, deep bhakti and surrender as described in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, friends, if Ketu is going to get active in the fifth house, so again, we know that it can eradicate the mundane conflicts by dissolving the six internal enemies of the mind. Like, for example, I could say all the Shadripu. Along with that, what is going to be denied in this period of time if Ketu is going to get active in the fifth house? So, the intellectual pride, reliance, your dependency on your calculated logic, speculation, gains, and attachment to the romantic drama, all of that could be denied. When we talk about the spiritual awakening potential, so friends, this is going to be the time when we can say that it can unlock your past life spiritual merit like purva punya and spontaneous mastery of the sacred text, mantra, or esoteric arts. I've generally seen that people who like there are like couple of combinations which work very beautifully. Like I mean to say, Saturn getting active in the eighth house and the person will get drifted towards astrology. Ketu getting active in the fifth house and native will drift towards yoga, meditation centers. I have seen that in lot many charts. So again, if you were to see the points written on the slide, fifth house Ketu activated dasha, it can deny the reliance on the speculative intellect and academic ego, unlocking pur punya and the direct spiritual wisdom. And friends, when we talk about the scriptural and the yogic focus, so mantra, japa, and realization of the Gyan Yoga, the intellect yields to direct spiritual perception, pratibha. So that is possible. That talent of yours can suddenly come onto the surface. Anything material, friends, when Ketu gets active in that house, you have to be very, very careful. So fifth house represents lottery, investments and all. You have to be very careful. Fifth house connected living signification, your relationship with the children, with your romantic partner, you have to be very careful. And this is going to be the time that people from the past can suddenly come into your life, interest in yoga, meditation, and you run into those people where the connection will feel very instant. So that could be a case that something from the past, some chapters open from the past are again getting resumed in this lifetime. Now, friends, when we talk about the sixth house, so friends, when we talk about the sixth house, so if Ketu is going to get active in the sixth house, the way it has been mentioned, It eradicates mundane conflicts by dissolving the six enemies of the mind. I'm so sorry. Before I read the sixth house, it was in the section of the fifth house. So yes, we know that sixth house represents all sort of like trouble, enemies, and our daily employment, daily life, routine. All of that we see from the sixth house, right? If Ketu Dasha will get active, Ketu is going to be in the sixth house. You have to be very careful. Many people have breaks in their employment, in their job. It is very much possible. Any of the operations and medical procedure generally end up with the loss of something. So, like for example, before that you could have just operated, but when Ketu gets active in the sixth house and you considered any medical procedure, you might have to remove that organ, remove that body part. Sixth house, eighth house, all of that is possible. Along with that, the good side is that when Ketu gets active in the sixth house, Ketu is very ferocious. Like it has the capacity to completely decimate your competitors, challengers, and all. In this regard, we can say that Ketu's period getting activated in the sixth house can actually benefit you. So, friends, now comes the question that in Ketu's period, what is going to be denied? So, the perpetual conflict, obsession with the physical disease, and reliance on worldly enemies to validate strength. That area of the life you will see that is getting denied to me right now. When we talk about the spiritual awakening potential, so we call it the Shatru Hanta, Shatru Samhara, dissolution of the internal enemies like lust, greed, anger, attachment, pride, jealousy. So, only if Ketu energy is working in a right form, it can eradicate, it can completely dissolve these six internal enemies. I will repeat: lust, anger, greed, attachment, pride, jealousy. So, that much is possible. When we talk about the scriptural and the yogic focus, friends, so karma yoga without expectation of reward. So, nishkam karma is recommended. So, physical purification through the hatha yoga kriyas can also be recommended. So, yes, friends, because the thing is, when Ketu gets active in the sixth house, so a lot of the times it happens like, people tell me this thing. See, if it is Rahu, right? So, it could be a case that you conspired something, you had some ill intentions which gain you enemies, right? But when we talk about Ketu, people are suddenly surprised, like, I do not know, man, why suddenly this person has entered in my life and he is giving me that bitter negative vibe. So, this could be something connected from the past. That might be possible. So, again, friends, the good part about the malefic planet is that this could be Mars, this could be Ketu. They have the qualities of burning the signification or cutting or completely destroying the signification of that house. Sixth house has got lot of the problems which we want to get rid of. So Ketu's activation over here can actually help you with that. But when we talk about your daily employment, if you are a salaried professional, and that too in a era where layoffs are happening, job markets are very volatile, so be very well prepared. When the Ketu Dasha will get active, you have to be very very careful and have a backup plan. That is what I'm trying to say. Now, friends, when we talk about seventh house, Ketu getting active in the seventh house. So again, friends, we know that it can cut the transactional codependency in the worldly partnership. It forces the soul to turn inward and recognize the divine mirror within the self rather than external projections. So the good part is that, friends, because Rahu in the first house, seventh house Ketu, the thing is, what defines your personality is the first house, right? So Rahu in the first house can actually make you very obsessive with yourself. I would not use the term selfish, because in the modern day and age, in this society we are living in the Kali Yuga, everyone is very much aware, inclined towards his or her own interest. But I would still say that when Rahu is in the first house, it can take your self interest to a next level. I mean to say. But if you have Ketu Dasha, Ketu in the seventh house, that is going to be a good transition or change for you when you will start thinking from other people's perspective as well. And the way I mentioned this thing, that it can cut off the transactional codependency in the worldly partnership. So many people have this kind of mindset that it's only me who is providing to my wife. She's a housewife. If I will not work, if I will stop going or bringing money to the home, to the table, So nothing can work like this. So it will remove your those illusions which you have had. It's the hand of the god which is feeding everyone. So again, and it will actually make you very inward, I would say. And again, that goes without any saying that if your relationship with the partner is very superficial, so it might not stand the test of the time. So how deep your connection, how deep your bond is with the partner within the marriage, so that will be tested in this Ketu period. So again, what is going to be denied in this phase? So idealized codependent partnership, commercial deals based on illusion, and reliance on a spouse for completion, because Ketu wants you to be self independent. Spiritual awakening. So, friends, realization of the non dual self, Advaita, viewing the other not as a vehicle for desire, but as a reflection of consciousness. And scriptural and the yogic focus, transcending Maya in relationship, Shiv Shakti union within the internal subtle body rather than externally. Now, friends, when we talk about the eighth house, if Ketu is going to get active in the eighth house, so we can say that it transmutes the psychological vulnerability and sudden upheaval into occult mastery, esoteric wisdom, and powerful Kundalini awakening. So, um, see again, any combination of Ketu with the eighth house is something, because Ketu is a conduit which is connected with our past. And if Ketu is placed in the eighth house, now you have to take into consideration which zodiac sign is over here. Is Ketu in some conjunction with some other planet as well or not? What is the state and dignity of the Ketu's dispositor? Because then it will give you this indication that in which specific area of the life your soul has been working hard. If Ketu is there in, like for example, Ketu is in Sagittarius in the eighth house, and Jupiter is also like exalted in the second house, in the fifth house, in the ninth house, that in itself is giving us this indication that because of the blessing and grace of some guru, you have been working hard towards the soul perfection, towards the God realization. But let's say, for example, if like this Ketu in the eighth house is placed in the Mars sign, is placed in the Saturn sign, and the dispositor has also gone to the eighth house, like it is placed in the house in itself, or 12th house, or sixth house, then it will definitely tell about some sort of dark secrets which your soul is carrying within itself. There might have been some activities which you are a part of which is not very healthy, regarding which in this lifetime you have to make peace with it, you have to make amendments with it. And again, friends, if Ketu gets active in the eighth house, so you have to be very careful around the accidents, injuries, surgeries and all. Generally, I have seen people who are like born with, like if your Ketu is in the eighth house and your moon nakshatra has something to do with the Gand moon nakshatra like Ashwini, Magh, Mula, so people who are born with a birthmark, very strong birthmark and all, that's a typical characteristic of Ketu. Like out of all the planets, like there are two planets only which are responsible for giving some visible strong marks on the human body. Mars is has a reputation of giving the injury marks, and for example, Ketu is responsible for giving some sort of mole or birthmark. Like I was I was watching this discussion, like this discussion on YouTube about like what gave the Koreans this obsession with the surgeries, perfect face surgeries and all. So they say that after the 1950, that Korean War, and after that many people had the burn injuries, burn marks, and because of that they were like a team of the plastic surgeons who were sent to Korea, South Korea, and then how initially it started as a medical procedure to transitioning into a beauty standard and all. So it's a whole transition, whole journey it has gone for. So I mean to say, when you have Ketu in the eighth house, all these things like trying to improve your your appearance, your body, operation, surgery, all of that generally happens. Ketu, Mars active in the eighth house, some sort of these things generally happens. And again, friends, this is a period where, like, especially if you want to dive into the domain of the unknown, darkest secrets, occult, tantra, or any of the dark or magical practices and all. So Ketu is capable of giving you mastery in this period of time. But again, much better if any of these things are done under the protection of a proper, like we say that, a very trained master. So something of this nature shall only be practiced or done under the mentorship of a master. That is all what I want to recommend. So yes friends, anything connected with the joint resources, ancestral property will be a headache in this period of time. Anything connected with activation of the kundalini and all will be very much possible, and there might be some issues in the matters of the joint resources, and you will definitely have a provision in this period of time to do something for your ancestors, for your pitris. You will get a chance for that. So when we talk about like the aspects of the life which will be denied, so the surface level stability or material predictability, unearned inheritance, and fear based control mechanism. So you have to be very careful around over here. Spiritual awakening potential, complete psychological death and rebirth, like unlocking Kundalini Shakti, mastery over the occult, and profound insight into death and transience. So, that secret of life and death, you'll be able to gain access to it if being supported by the dispositor and a strengthened ascendant lord. The scriptural and the yogic focus, so beyond any doubt, any connection of the eighth house with the Ketu, so Tantra, Kundalini Yoga, and contemplation of the Katha Upanishad, like Nachiketa's dialogue with the Yama, is the right approach of channelizing this energy. Now, friends, when we talk about Ketu getting active in the ninth house, so it can bypass the rigid dogma and ritualistic outer performance to establish a direct connection with the inner Sadguru. So, see, Ketu has this quality of denying the superficiality, right? So it can deny that rigid dogma, superficial religious rituals, blind faith in the human gurus and all. It will drive someone towards something very deep, something very transcendental. The spiritual awakening potential, friends. So you might have direct experience of the truth over the institutional belief. Higher philosophy and direct communion with the divine is going to be possible. And the scriptural and the yogic focus, so dharmic pilgrimages, study of the Upanishad, and establishing a direct connection with the inner guru will be possible. Now, friends, when we talk about the 10th house, so like Ketu being active in the 10th house can cut off your career vanity and status hunger. It can enforce the selfless karma yoga and duty performed without any expectation. So that means when we talk about like what is going to be denied, so the corporate level ambition, desire for the worldly status, and public titles and the social validation. The spiritual awakening potential, so execution of the worldly duties with absolute detachment is going to be the key in this period of time. The defining trait, like becoming an instrument for the higher action without any personal ego, is going to be possible. Like you will become extremely dutiful. Like you will see that whatever I'm doing as a chosen one. I'm doing the God's work. So I have seen, like, people start kind of, not an exaggeration to say, but worshipping their work, like feeling very grateful for their position. The scriptural and the yogic focus, friends, so karma yoga is outlined in the Bhagavad Gita, like perform your duty efficiently without attachment. By by doing work without attachment, one attains the supreme. Now, friends, when we talk about Ketu being active in the 11th house, so we know that it can deny the material greed and social validation, cultivating supreme contentment, santushti, and inner wealth. So, like if you are kind of a very like socially savvy person, that so far whatsoever you have gained and your success is somehow contributed to your connections, so you might get a jolt in this period of time. So what is going to be denied, like that easy access to the social circle, social climbing, or attachment to the large networking groups, or that sort of madness, frenzy, obsession with the material accumulation will be denied. The spiritual awakening potential, friends, so there will be this realization that the true fulfillment is not a sum of material gains. Spontaneous fulfillment of desires through spiritual surrender can only be possible. So, what is going to be the key for you in this period of time? That cultivation of the contentment, santushti, and niyama of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. That you have to understand that whatever is meant to happen for you will happen as per the right timing, in the right capacity, rather than you acting with that haste and being a hustler in the life will not reap any result in this period of time. Again, friends, people have attained big awards, they are chosen for big responsibilities, holy work when Ketu gets active in the 11th house. But again, it only happens to those who were not obsessed for it, who were not looking for it. That is what I'm trying to say. And friends, when we talk about the 12th house, so this is the ultimate moksha placement of the Ketu. So the 12th house is the natural home for Ketu's highest expression. Here it completely severs sensory attachment, denies material distraction, and facilitates samadhi level of state. So by dissolving the individual ego into universal consciousness, this placement bestows final liberation from the cycle of rebirth. So what is going to be denied? All sort of material indulgences, earthly attachment, and mundane worldly sleep and comfort. The spiritual awakening potential is going to be at its peak, the ultimate seat for the moksha. So it can unlock the deep state of samadhi, lucid spiritual dreaming, and complete dissolution of the individual ego into the universal consciousness. And the scriptural and the yogic focus for you, friends, is that the Raja Yoga, like retreat into the solitude, like that sort of sannyasi mindset. And you might have to participate in the spiritual retreat, or the best of your meditative state you'll only be able to attain when you're away from the material life, like when you have gone for a vacation, when you have participated in a spiritual retreat. That's where you're able to concentrate, rather than when you're trying to do that meditation in your living room. So yes, friends, that is all what I wanted to say. The progression of Ketu Dasha generally happens like this. Like in this 7 year, if you have to break it down, the first 2 years is going to be the dissolution, like disillusionment and sudden severance of the material security anchor. That is the time where people who are less spiritually evolved, those people panic the most over here. Then comes the years like from 3 to 4, like the ego detachment and the total surrender to the higher cosmic forces start happening over here. Like this is a phase which everyone goes through. This is the phase where those who are slightly spiritually oriented already, they already have that kind of spiritual bank balance in their Akashic record. These are the people who start reaping little bit over here. When you reach the years from 5th to 6th, this is the time of the internal illumination, occult insight, and intuitive clarity. This is the time when the lotus blooms, the illumination happens. And finally, the 7th year, the final karmic closure and the preparation for the Venusian renewal, which will happen. So, yes, friends, when the illusion of the separation is severed, pure awareness remains. So, that is all what, friends, I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. Once again, thanks a lot for watching this video.